Mr. Chair, for the record, I'm Mark Johnson. I am the state representative for House District 52. Thank you very much for the opportunity to come before you today and talk about legislative concept number 126. Feels funny to talk about LCs, doesn't it? Soon to be HB, whatever, something. Seated with me are a couple of individuals that have come from a long distance today. Betsy Crone has come from Texas. She is the AVID Director for Higher Education. You're going to hear a lot more about the AVID program, and next to her is Christy Plinsky from Gresham, from Mount Hood Community College, so you're going to hear some great testimony from them. And one individual who's not with us today, who would be here had he not had a private sector commitment, is Senator Mark Hass, who is also supportive of what we're doing here today, and I think you'll find a letter of support from him on OLIS about what we're going to be talking about. Just to refresh your memories, committee, in the 2015 session, this committee and this legislative body passed Senate Bill 81, which has become known as the Oregon Promise. And as I'm sure you'll recall, the Oregon Promise calls for providing tuition waivers to community college for high school graduates who meet residency and academic requirements and also make adequate progress as post-secondary students. You'll also recall that this body generously allocated $10 million for the tuition waivers for these students who meet the requirements and also first complete the FAFSA form so that they can receive whatever federal and state financial aid that they may be eligible for, so that the state of Oregon then is actually paying the last dollar and for that community college or for the career school that also qualifies. Passing the Oregon Promise was an incredibly significant step for this state, and it literally has put us on the map. As you'll recall, Oregon now has joined Tennessee as one of just 2 states nationally that have in place tuition waivers for qualifying students. And in doing so, we have garnered a great deal of attention nationally for our efforts. Over the past both Senator Hass and I have been invited to attend and have participated in White House panels talking about the Oregon Promise and about college affordability. And the country is really, really interested in finding out how we did this, first of all, and is this going to be a successful program? And what I've told the attendees at these events is that although passing the Oregon Promise was a challenge legislatively, because remember, we had to get both the colleges had to be supportive, we had to get the student groups to be supportive, we had to secure the funding necessary to make this thing work, and then we had to get the votes out of both the House and Senate to get this thing across the finish line. That was a daunting task, but the real challenge, and this is what I really want to focus on today and what this legislative concept is about, the real challenge before us is to make sure that these Oregon Promise students who enter the college system this next fall will become, in fact, successful students. That they will not just enroll, but that these students will persist as students and they will complete their associate's degree or their career certificate within a reasonable time frame. I say that it will be a challenge for our Oregon Promise students to be successful simply because of factors that are in place that we have heard about, again, at this committee level, that can make that a daunting prospect. And I'll just refer back to the audit that came out last spring by the Secretary of State, and I pulled a few quotes from that, just, again, not to pile on or not to embellish needlessly the situation that we currently have at our colleges, but just to point out that in the Secretary of State's report, they said that 24% of our enrolled community college students are actually completing within 7 years. We can do better. Oregon, according to a 2010 graduation rate out of the Chronicle of Higher Education, we ranked 41st out of 50. Not the last, but certainly not the best. But importantly, a couple other factors that the report pointed out: that most colleges have limited capacity and the expertise to analyze data for decision-making and continuous improvement. And finally, community colleges have been proactive in supporting their students. They're making good faith efforts, but they currently lack the resources and capacity to scale student success initiatives and to meet the needs of all students. And again, I would again, not point the finger of blame at the colleges, because part of that obviously comes from us. We haven't funded higher ed as we should. I think we all would agree, and I think we turned the corner that last session to make a good faith effort in an entirely different direction. But there's better work that we can do. And again, these community colleges, these Oregon Promise students are going to be arriving on the doorsteps in September. We all can agree that we need to do a better job of not just enrolling students, but providing them with the support services that they need to help reach their potential and to compete as students so that they can move on to be successful members of our society. In the last session, we also passed Senate Bill 418. You'll recall that when we came through the committee, we said Senate Bill 81 is the great policy. Senate Bill 418 can actually be a real good tool to help successful implementation. And in Senate Bill 418, there's approximately $6.8 million that's set aside for various student support that could go from dual accreditation to accelerated learning, but also what can we do to help provide better tools at our colleges. All 17 community colleges are working hard to do all that they can to help their students be successful, but what they really lack are targeted resources. So what if we made available to all of our colleges a data-driven, outcomes-based student support program that is achieving some remarkable accomplishments in other states and in certain settings right here in Oregon as well? What if this state was to use some of that $6.8 million that's sitting there in Senate Bill 418 and focused it on a program like AVID? AVID stands for Advancement via Individual Determination. And just a little background, some of you may be aware of this, Chair Reed. I know that Beaverton is a school district that has a really robust AVID program, but AVID is currently being used in hundreds of schools across our state within school districts, both junior highs, middle schools, high schools. Very intentional program to try to engage students that show great academic potential, but just have roadblocks perhaps in front of them. Could be ethnic relationships, could be financial, could be just being first in their family to ever even consider going beyond K-12 education. AVID is a program that is having excellent results. And in the packet you have on the table in front of you, I think you'll see some data there that shows that AVID at the high school level is in fact eradicating the achievement gap. AVID students are entering college and qualifying for college at a rate equal to our Anglo population, and it's a remarkable transformation. But AVID also has a higher ed component, and that's why I brought in these fine folks next to us here. I'm going to let Betty Crone from Texas talk about AVID for higher education and let you understand more about what's going on nationally and to see what we might be able to do here locally in Oregon.
And Dr. Crone, not to take you off your plan, but and maybe I'm the only one who has this question, but in addition to sort of the components, maybe you could give us a brief kind of history or how the structure works as individual districts and institutions decide to participate with that. Would that be helpful, at least for me?
Right.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah, just one
I apologize.
please.
I don't understand, Mark. Are we going to talk more about the bill and everything? We're just going to talk about this because I wanted to ask how we're doing as far as mentors, because I think that's that was my big concern. I think other members too concerned about our program of the Oregon Promise. Isn't some of that money dedicated for that?
I think that's what he's.
Chair Reed and Representative Wisnett, at this point there isn't, the HEC has completed a recommendation process for how the resources in Senate Bill 418 should be expended. There are recommendations in there for doing something like what you're talking about, but as you'll recall, Tennessee had a program of really robust volunteer mentors. We haven't gone down that pathway in Oregon. We're trying to get in place actual programs at the college that can employ and access volunteer mentors, perhaps, or more likely staff, faculty who have the skills necessary to be able to interact with those students where they're at. So we're going in a little bit different direction here in Oregon than Tennessee has with their model. But I think you'll hear more about that.
Thank you. I apologize.
You bet.
And just to summarize, it sounds like essentially what we're saying is that your bill, and hopefully we'll get back to that, is a mechanism to address this question of how to support students. So we'll get back to that.
Exactly.
Please.
Chair Reed and representatives, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you this morning. I'm Betty Crone, Director Director of AVID for Higher Education. And it's my great privilege to introduce you to the AVID for Higher Ed program and how it can make a difference in the academic success of students. As that AVID does stand for Advancement via Individual Determination, and we are already in about 169 of the Oregon sites, and in the folder that was provided to you, there was a handout that gave you the quick facts regarding that. And AVID is a nonprofit. We are dedicated to closing the achievement gap, whether it be at the K-12 level or the higher ed level. And we have a proven track record of 35 years that has been researched by third-party researchers. AVID's not just another program, it really is a philosophy. We believe that if you hold students accountable and you provide them the academic and social support that they need, that they will rise to that challenge. And although the higher ed program can support every single student on a college campus, we really want to focus on those first-generation, minorities, low socioeconomic students, and to really help them to persist until they are ready for completion. We develop skills and behaviors for academic success, and we provide a very intensive, holistic, comprehensive support that helps the student all the way through their college experience. The key components that we actually bring to the campus are support for the AVID seminar. That's the first-year experience course. We also have a lot of support for what we call Socratic tutoring. It's not your normal reteach tutoring, but we really want to involve students in the inquiry process. We bring faculty development. In fact, AVID is known for their faculty development. We also address peer mentoring, and Chair Reed, Representative Wisnett, that peer mentoring is also shared with faculty who are mentors as well, so that might address that. We also bring effective advising services to the campus, as well as support for other co-curricular services. Research tells us that when you use these components in concert, that's when you get students to be more successful. And if you have that handout on the components, it gives you a little bit more information there. AVID's not a cookie-cutter approach, though, to improving student success, but rather a very flexible set of tools that can be incorporated into each college's individual structures. We support a campus team that is composed of administration, faculty, academic, and student affairs. And we help that team to really create a plan that's a vision for actually addressing what that college chooses to actually focus on. And the college may choose to focus on a very particular set of students, such as the Oregon Promise students, or students who we sometimes describe as the murky middle. And regardless of where college begins, though, it is the long-term goal to have all students on that campus committed, successful, and the personnel there committed to that success. We're very, very flexible. We want the college to guide the work and set those priorities, make the decisions, and we're there to support through the professional learning, team facilitations, and ongoing coaching and support. We want to offer a variety of options that exist or create new ones. If the college says we really need support in a certain area, then we want to rise to that occasion and bring that support to the campus. As I said earlier, we're known for our in-depth on-site professional learning workshops. We model how to use these skills and how faculty can infuse them into courses and create a common language for both faculty and students. And it's that common language that really provides that holistic approach that increases institutional effectiveness. Some examples. The higher ed piece is relatively new to the AVID K-12 system. And so we actually started about 6 years ago, and we're seeing results that are really outstanding. Odessa College in Texas started with us in 2011. They're both an AVID campus and an Achieving the Dream campus, and they're a community college with minority first-generation students primarily. And in a December article about their success, researcher and educator Brad Phillips stated that over the past 4 years, Odessa has almost closed all gaps between the underrepresented and the underserved students when it comes to retention and course completion. He stated that Hispanic males improved at an all-time high of 94% retention rate and almost 74% success rate. He stated, "It's remarkable for any college, but to consider that 5 years ago, Odessa College was among 3 colleges in Texas that the Texas legislature targeted for defunding." Don Wood, the vice president there for institutional effectiveness, he said, and he sent this to me in an email just this last week, says, "For the first time in the history of our college, we are being recognized on a national level. And education experts such as Brad Phillips are highlighting our achievements. I not only understand but also deeply appreciate that these achievements are also in part testimony that AVID's partnership with Odessa College is proving to be successful at the most fundamental level of post-secondary education, that of student retention and student success." Amarillo College is another one that's been with us since 2011. They're also another Achieving the Dream College. And over the past 4 years, they have actually seen a 25% plus increase in the student pass rates and a yearly 5% plus increase in student retention. President Laurie Hart said that Achieving the Dream helped Amarillo to use data to identify what needed to be done, but AVID brought in the how do you do it? And so we were there to support them. Nash Community College in Rocky Mount, North Carolina is another one that started with us in 2012, and their leadership acknowledged the value of the pedagogically sound instructional strategies that we bring to the campus and how they correspond with the value to student success. Mike Lantham, their Dean of Instruction and Chief Program Officer, reported increases of retention rates 4% the initial semester, and then each semester thereafter has been an increase of at least 5%. He says that the campus leadership believes that retention rates have increased due to the effective student instruction utilizing AVID strategies. They've also had a drop in new enrollment, but their overall campus enrollment has actually increased 3%. And that's like, you've increased 3%, but you dropped new enrollments 11%. How does that work? It means they're retaining their students. They're being successful. We believe the money is very well spent. We're quite economical when we bring your program to the campus because we work in concert with the people on the campus, with the leadership. And we bring it to each campus about $30,000 a year. And we can support as many students as you wish, from a very select low-performing group to the whole campus. To give you an example, I understand that the 7,000 Oregon Promise students are supposed to hit the doors in the fall. And if we took an average of 400 on each of the 17 community college campuses that you have, that would be less than $100 per student. But if we, at the same time, if we look at Columbia Gorge Community College's enrollment, they have an enrollment of about 4,600 students, I believe, and they could serve every single student on their campus for as little as $7 a student. So for that reason, if you're wanting a little bit more details, there is another handout in there with the proposal for those details. Our goal is to build capacity, and that's what we really want to happen on those campuses. And when we build capacity so the faculty and staff of that campus can continue it, own the culture, and own that AVID philosophy, we want to be those partners that really help that to happen. In closing, I wanted to say that Oregon could be not just a model for opening access to colleges, but also a model for student success. And we want to, we commend you for passing the Oregon Promise last year. You told the nation you're really, really serious about creating opportunities for your Oregon students. And we know you have challenges, as every community across the nation is faced with these exact same challenges. But we firmly believe that AVID can do for you and your institutions what it has done at Amarillo, at Odessa, at Rocky Mount, and many other institutions that work with us. We are aligned with your community college strategic plan. We are adaptable to address student success needs. And we support the creation of a campus-wide vision for that student success, and that's what really makes the difference. Oregon can be a state model across the nation, and AVID for Higher Education, we're ready and willing to help you be that and make that proclamation to the nation that you can help students be successful.
Thank you, Dr. Crone. Appreciate it. Ms. Blinsky, are you up next? Very good. You're getting the thumbs up from Representative Johnson.
Chair Reed, representatives, it is my great pleasure to be here before you today and to talk to you a little bit about why Mount Hood Community College chose AVID. My name